Hi, everyone. I'm Stephen W. Long. This is The Writing Life, and just really looking forward to our interview today with Daniel John, our guest. Um, I've had a little bit of a chat with Daniel before we started here, and I know that there's going to be more ground to cover than we can possibly do, so I want to get started right away. Daniel, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. And just to kind of set the scene, I don't want to say that you're local because we're going to get to that, but our producer, Caroline O'Brien, did see you locally at the Ten Oaks poetry reading and was impressed and got hold of you. I've read a little bit of your bio and I'm impressed as well. And one of the things that I I want to ask you about, you said that when you were very young, you wrote 3 words, "I love poetry." Tell us a little bit about your sensibility at that age.
1967, I'm a 7-year-old boy. Just like most mothers today, they take that crayon drawing and put it on the refrigerator, or that little gold dragon or gold star that the kids get on their pieces of paper. So essentially what my mom did is that this was me practicing penmanship, letters, and that I had to write something in 3, 4 words, put words together to make a sentence. So where was I intellectually or educationally? I was a little 7-year-old boy.
Yeah.
I like poems.
Yeah.
Period.
Okay.
My mom saved that to this day.
So just for you to say that, you must have been exposed to poetry.
This I don't remember. Come on, that was like 51 years ago.
Okay, all right.
Anyhow.
So, and I guess maybe what I'm thinking of typically would be nursery rhymes or something.
Perhaps.
And I think that you said you sort of, in your evolution, you kind of went through that rhyming stage, and as I suspect we all do. Do you do that now? Do you look for a rhyme or?
All of it.
Okay.
I go for meter and rhyme, rhythm, for it is the original sense of what memory was for poetry before there was writing. What is it? That it was an oral story that you would then pass on and the sort. So they found it to be more magical, if you would, a way to remember it by it having a rhythm, put it into verse, perhaps even rhyme. And then it was much easier for the 3rd, 4th, 8th generation later to remember it by it having that sound, that rhythm, that rhyme.
Okay. You had said something interesting to me, and I think it was Freud who said that, and you're going to get this right and I'll get it wrong, but words are magic? What's the proper way to say that?
Quote, Sigmund Freud, "In the beginning, words and magic were one and the same, and it is amazing that to this day, words still have much of their magical qualities." Unquote.
Yeah. And I think we all believe that, which is why we're here. The other thing you talked about, and in fact I've talked about, when you write, whether it's prose or poetry, you have to have something to write about. And I think that often comes from exposure to things, and that often comes from travel. You've done a lot of traveling.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about that.
Traveling also involves that of the mind, where your imagination goes.
Okay.
Watch a small girl sit with her doll at a tea party, having a wonderful conversation with her. She's writing a screenplay, if you would, with an imaginary friend.
Sure.
Just as the little boy does with his G.I. Joe. He's fighting those demons. Or as with the cardboard shield and that wooden spoon from Mom's kitchen, that I have dragons to conquer and giants to slay. So it is imagination too, just but not the actual tangible experiences that we have, but that what the imagination can do.
You've done some physical traveling as well. Okay.
Very much so.
Okay. And it was that in conjunction with work, military, wanderlust? How did you do that?
Before I was 9 years old, I was pretty much in every state west of the Mississippi and had lived in most of them. At the age of 15, I was out on my own. 3 years later, 18, graduated from high school, and I listened to another man of words. His name, Mark Twain.
Okay.
He said, "Go west, young man, go west." A week after graduation, I heeded his words. I headed west, and I've never turned back.
Okay.
Since then, literally, I've been more than halfway around the planet Earth. I've been so far north of the equator to so far south of it, and I've been in like 22 different countries. I've been to the high Andes Mountains in South America, to the depths of Death Valley in California. I've been from Miami to Seattle, from New York to LA, and have crisscrossed this country. Never staying in one place too long. It's just, it was in my nature to do this. Perhaps it's in my nature. Let's leave it like that. Yeah.
And I suspect those experiences find their way into your work, into your poetry.
Absolutely,
Okay.
yes.
Which we're going to get to. Now I want to backtrack just one topic and mention Ursula Le Guin, who, famous writer and sadly has passed away here recently. I was at a festival, a writing festival, where she was the keynote speaker. And I was so impressed with one of the, many of the things she said, but the one I remember is, teachers, when kids come back from their vacation, should say to them, write about what you did on your summer vacation. Instead, they should say, write what you didn't do on your summer vacation. Because
Nice.
that opens the door up to, well, I didn't go to Mars, I didn't fight dragons. And so then you get to express that, and I think that's kind of what you're talking about.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Imagination governs my world. So whether it be real or not real, who is to say that distinguishing fine line, especially with the use of words,
Yeah.
that they call it fiction or they call it nonfiction. For that too, you don't know if it's a true story, even though you know it's not, but it becomes so real.
Yeah.
But I must also think that moon talk from a man who's never been to the moon is likely to be quite dull. You need to
Okay,
have the
sure.
experience of that.
Okay. Okay.
So with the many experiences that I've had, good God, I have a vast array of things to draw from.
Okay. And this is not you, but I want to say Truman Capote is supposed to have said, when somebody asked him, is that true? He said, well, if it isn't, it ought to be. And so
Nice.
yeah,
Nice. Good
Yeah.
for you.
yeah.
If it's not, it should be. That's
Yeah.
good.
And he was, I think, self-absorbed possibly. So tell me about Bob Hope. You said that Bob Hope was issuing awards and that you were then inducted, is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Into the Homer Honor Society of International Poets
Okay.
to set the precedent to be the golden poet within a 10-year period, first by Vincent Price and then Bob Hope. I was not, how to say, I was not ready for that in a sense. The piece that I wrote was, may I share one piece? It's a quick
Sure,
one.
yeah.
Questions. Is there a way for us to see what provokes us men to dream? Is passion the hand that tells our time, or is it merely the shadow given from the sun's beam? And the Almighty, is he but a puppeteer? And are we simply destined to be on his strings? And did unicorns have only one horn, and the Pegasus, that horse, did it really have wings? Is the hand that rocked your cradle the same that's going to have to dig your grave? And do blinders keep the horse going straight? Or inevitably do they enslave? Is there such a thing as tomorrow? Or is the only time we have, right here, right now? My ultimate question is, how long is eternity? You see, and I finally realized it's not going to matter anyhow. Because maybe there are no answers. Maybe it is like what Shakespeare said long ago. He said, nothing is good or bad unless you think it. And then that's what makes it so. So I say, then make your own decisions. Free choice is all a part of the scheme. Just devise your own master plan. Submit it back to God, and if it's in his will, he's going to have you live your dream. So beware of what you dream for. Bingo. Homer Honor Society of International Poets. Within a year or two, I'm writing for the big boys. I'm a ghostwriter, and
Talk about that a little bit. I think that, I know I'm interested, and I think other folks would be.
a ghostwriter. How about an example?
Sure.
Okay. A couple of my friends, Siegfried and Roy, the guys with the White Tigers in Las Vegas.
Right.
I was the writer for about 12 years specifically, as well as many others. Roy asked me to write a piece for him. Now, he knew more about White Tigers than what I could ever know. But he wanted me to write for him in an eloquent, poetic way. And I wrote this. This is a good one. Now, they never bought this one off of me. This is still mine. That's why I can say it. Other ones, I can't say. Okay. Ready?
Sure.
The Royal White Tigers of Nevada, as their bodies move to that primal beat, and as their paws, how they light the floor, that in all the animals you will ever see, you'll never want one more. You'll want to touch one, hold one. You'll want to gaze into those icy blue eyes. You'll want to feel of their enchantment. But beware, you can become mesmerized. For they have a beauty that goes beyond our senses. Such glorious to behold. You see, there's Shasti, there's Neva, there's Terra. Oh, heck with it. They're all like petals from a prized white rose. They carry a grace and a grandeur of a time so long ago, like some sort of warrior who has conquered now as he wears his princely robe. Yes, those Royal White Tigers of Nevada. What is like unto them? While we men are out imagining unicorns, nature was fashioning us a gem. For they are like rare jewels of nature, living sculptures they almost seem. It's amazing what my friend Roy did accomplish, simply because he dared to live out his dream. So let those creatures of his be a sign for the whole world to see that when we men dare to live our dreams, that we too can make our dreams a reality.
Well, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Now, how did am I using the right word? He commissioned you to do this?
He asked.
Or he asked you to do that? And then, had he done it, how would this have manifested? Would he have said it? Would he have written it in a memoir?
If there are certain things I can't say, but let's put it like this. Yeah, I best not say under. Okay, but yes, it's whether it be an award, a speech, at the a presentation of the Tigers, maybe a running reel-to-reel disc, so it would be playing over and over for the people, where educational information was given.
Okay.
Then they add some creative talent, abilities like the poetry, and then maybe something else. And then the reel would complete and keep going as the people would come through the exhibit.
Yeah.
So that's how it would then be portrayed for the people, for him to say, hey, it is worth my time, my money, your effort to do this, because it gets the message out that it's not just about White Tigers. Mm-hmm. It's about men daring to live their dreams.
Okay.
Yeah.
I certainly have noticed this. I think viewers would as well.
What's that?
You're not reading this. You're not reading anything. And talk a little bit about your philosophy, I guess it would be, of writing, mind, heart.
This is called The Writing Life, and there's a reason why it was titled as such. There goes a time in which that there was no writing. The oral tradition, I mean, from the Epic of Gilgamesh to the Homer of the Greeks, or Virgil of the Romans, and from everyone else who has ever followed it, came about because of the advent of writing. There was during Mesopotamian times in which that the king realized that it was most important to get this idea of writing, of literature, out to the people. And in turn, in his capital city of Nineveh, he had a library where over 30,000 clay tablets were stored. For he wanted to get across the point that, one, it is just not about the heritage, the history, or the culture of a people or region, but he realized that the art of writing was for all people. So in writing came about golden tablets, brass plates, cuneiform, clay. What's my philosophy is this, that it is just not right to commit words to page. You shorten yourself. Don't just put it into memory, for it could then be lost to memory. But if you etch it into your heart, that it seems that it carries with you for the rest of your life, in which that then, to the last time that your heart beats, at your last breath, what was written was not on some piece of paper, some clay tablet, or on gold plates, nor even into your mind, but that then you somehow take it with you, for it was the art of which that words were. Think of it like this. Words, they are everywhere. You see them on every billboard and every road sign. They fill every book, and they are the words, the lyrics to your very favorite song. You see them scroll across the bottom of your TV screen, and you are bombarded with them on every internet site you go to see. Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. John starts his book off by saying, in the beginning was the Word. The Word was with God, and the Word was God. Now let's go even further back. In the beginning, when there was just the darkness and void, that words were spoken, and he said, let there be light. And at that moment, secularly, we understand it now as the Big Bang. Light shine throughout the known universe. Quasars, nebulae, comets, galaxies, solar systems, all by the use of words. Now that's some powerful stuff. It goes on. I mean, I could, okay, yeah, I'm very,
But it's, and I think what I don't want to put words in your mouth, but your thoughts that you put into poetry are so important that you commit these three things. And in fact, let me ask you, do you, when you're creating poetry, do you write it down? Or is this, you seem to be so cerebral, do you just think it through? Do you write it down and then polish it like the rest of us mortals? Or do you just conceive it?
no, I'm but an ordinary man, and it is not me the messenger, but the message. And please, indulge me. Here's one that came, and it goes on for, let's go 5 minutes here. One night I had a special dream. I had this four-flag banner in my hand, and there were symbols and letters on each waving flag, but the three small flags I did not understand. On the small flags read JPT, then there was NPT, and last STN. I ran those letters through my mind, I swear to you, Steve, 1,000,000 times over and over again. But the large flag's message I was able to read, and it proclaimed the messenger of the unity of man, that we all can endure and overcome what seems impossible, if only you think that you can. Kind of like the children's book, the choo-choo who thought he could. I think I can, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. Now sure, some people could be considered dogs, yet in my travels I've met some pretty cool cats, but I've come to realize they both got 4 legs and a tail, and there's not one person out there that you can disagree with that. In other words, we all have instinctive desires. Love, acceptance, the most basic of all needs. They cross any line if you still got your prejudice. Because it don't matter your age, race, your gender, your religion, your creed. Yet I've also seen that the strongest doesn't always win the battle. Nor for the swiftest are you going to win the race. And you're sure the heck not going to walk out of a courtroom victorious, even if you got a rock-solid case. So by now you're saying, well, yeah, okay, so why? Why? Because there's this thing out there that's called injustice. And there's a lot of crap out there that's unfair. But if that's all people, if that's all they read and hear, then how dare you and me gather together in the studio and only talk about how the world's falling to despair? Don't you see, people like you and me, we have a duty. In fact, I take that back. I think of it as a God-given right. Even the scriptures say if you're given a candle, you don't put it underneath a table. No, you put it up on a stick. You show forth the light. It's like we are but like messengers, artists of every given day. It's all up here in your head. Is your day going to be bright blue and cheery? Or did you wake up with your palette covered with only shades of gray? I'm not sure rain's got to fall into everyone's life, but they got a saying for everything, like every dog will have his day. My favorite was the one that says, "Look before you leap." It sounded good until I watched the Discovery Channel and I saw that's the one that the lion then gets as its prey. And I realized it's all madness. There. It goes on and on. Okay, but that was out of a dream. Never wrote it down. It's just there. It
Okay,
happened, yeah.
okay.
There are countless pieces of mine that happen in dreams that I just know them. I don't have to memorize them. Like I said, it's in my heart.
Yeah. And I understand you. I can't do that, but I know what you're saying.
Yeah. Some I have to wrestle with, work with it, especially when doing the ghostwriting. I'm sitting with Muhammad Ali, and he's got his Parkinson, and he's getting this award, and or this guy, or the big oil companies, and my God, I don't want to drop names. That's not right.
Well,
but yeah, I've had to
okay.
write for a lot of big people, and
Yeah.
I had to work, and we work, and we work, and work it, and tweak it, and refine it. Some of it was...
It's in a kind of a mechanical way or a pedestrian way. What is your association? I mean, I've never met these people, and I won't. How were you in a position to do that? Did they come to you? Did you go to them? Are you an entertainer?
Because I believed,
Okay.
literally. I thought about this, and this I'll feel candid about. The greatest of all time, Muhammad Ali, all right? Wealthy, right? Famous. He could have gotten any one of LA's top writers or screenplays or New York or anywhere, but when it came to do the piece for Leroy Neiman and the picture that it did for him at the Paris Hotel when he got the Athlete of the Century Award, I am that guy. How that happens? Perhaps the man up there above who governs, who's sovereign, who knows and directs all things. Because it is totally, it's uncanny. It's true. And I've got many names I could drop, like 30-ton, megaton bombs. I've met some of the biggest and brightest. And yet, they chose me. Because it happened. I don't question why. In fact, I have no business questioning why. He's never going to tell me why. The only thing he's going to ever reveal to me is himself. And in the process of my life, through my writing, I've learned a lot about him and me.
This is fascinating, seriously.
You like this? Okay. It's true, man. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Uh-huh.
I got some stuff that would just knock you people for Lulu. Really, I do.
Maybe
Anyhow.
we can do that. Maybe we can get there. But let me ask you, were you the host of a, oh, we're okay.
Okay.
You were the host, I think, of a radio show? Was it in Spokane?
The host saw me, was, quote, blown away by the people's response to how they saw me, that he comes up and says, I want to put you on the radio.
Okay.
So after the initial opening is what you did for this programming, he's like, and now the show is yours.
Okay.
And he just let me run. And there were certain times, this is what you've done, because he's a good host, like yourself, that in other words, like, oh, like someone on a kite, hey, hold on, you're getting a little way here. Okay. And it was fantastic. It was wonderful. It was great.
Did you feel like you were in your element?
Oh, yes, especially in the fact that it was all the word. There wasn't the visual.
Right, sure.
Right? There wasn't, my hair looking okay, and my shirt looking okay, and my sitting proper. No, I could just play it out. I could get as animated as I wanted with my hands to feel it, to become it. This is an interesting point where many people, yes, I'm going to say this. Many people read poetry. Then there are those that write poetry. Then there are those that recite poetry. Then there are those that perform poetry. Somewhere in this mind of mine, I came up with the idea to go a step beyond, to become poetry.
I think you've done it. Seriously, we've had one other fellow that I can remember, and I think he called it performance art, but this is certainly beyond. And you've got such a repertoire. I think that you could just go on and on. Was there a piece that you wanted to recite before we run out of time here?
My first one that Vincent Price in Orlando, Florida, pinned onto me, a little 14-karat gold inkwell with black onyx like the ink. And this is what I had written. If we could learn to time ourselves, not by flamboyancy, nor by sitting on shelves, but perhaps by self-denial, or if you don't like those words, call it self-control, because if you let that guide your life, it will rule your soul. And it is from those things in which we truly do learn. You see, it's a gift that's going to be given to you. It's something none of us can go out and earn. So they ask, well, what am I to do? Well, go out and learn. You betcha. Take in all that you can. Pass on your knowledge. Leave your tracks in the sand. Because the time's going to come when those waves will roll in, and they will obliterate your footprints to show where any of you have ever been. So remember, there's a judgment in all the things that you say and that you do. It boils down to this, Steve. People need to get to know, love, share themselves, because there's no one quite like any one of you. You're all special. Believe. Trust your hearts.
Daniel John, thank you. This has been a fascinating half hour. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you having me on.
I know that you're not a resident here, but you'll be around a while, and I sure hope we run into each other again.
Very well. I appreciate your time and for the MCM studio here to
That's
grant me
great.
this opportunity to get the message out across.
Yeah,
Remember, folks, I'm only but the messenger. It's the message I want you to hold on to
yeah,
and take that to your hearts.
great.
Have a good night now.
Thank you so much. Folks, that's quite a performance. This is The Writing Life. I'm Stephen W. Long. You can reach me through my website, stephenwlong.com. And I'd love to hear from folks about either potential guests or possibly subjects, topics to cover. And until next time, thank you so much for watching. Thank you.
What do you think? We done?
I don't know. You guys want to do one just with yourself
as
without
long
me
as
doing
they
the
think we're
bongos?
done, if
No,
they got
no,
enough, they got enough.
They got enough? Probably. Okay, sounds good.
Let's go lunch. I'm
Oh.
hungry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could use a bite too.